quick reminder, your comments, feedback are invited on my Twitter, Facebook, and email. We're not live today, even though our topic today is innovations in technology in Pakistan. I have at one point lost faith in Pakistan's capability to lead in the world of information technology. There was a time when Pakistan was buzzing with information technology, schools, institutes, universities, diploma courses. Everywhere you went, there was an IT school. And then suddenly, all of that disappeared. I criticized the IT industry. I criticized the people behind it. I criticized those who I thought should be taking the lead. And I felt that we would have lost and missed the IT bandwagon. But years later, if you look at it, look at the whole industry, it may not have grown in volume, it may not have grown in size, it may not have grown in the number of people it's employing, but it has definitely grown exponentially in the kind of work being done in Pakistan. Quality work, not necessarily large volumes when compared to India, maybe when compared to Russia, but the quality of work coming out of Pakistan is fantastic. Not just international work, but also domestic work. One such application I came across just the other day, it's called Daddu. Daddu being a very informal word for a frog. I'm going to show you a bit of this application a little later, but it's a lot of fun application targeted towards young children, educational, and we'll talk about this more in a bit. I'm going to introduce my guests, who are probably the biggest heads of the IT industry in Pakistan. In no particular order, I'm going to start on my far right, Mr. Faisal Qureshi, who is the founder and CEO of Next Generation Innovations. Faisal, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Yusuf Jan, who is the CEO of Mixed Technologies and also the ex-chairman of Pakistan Software Houses Association. Yusuf, thank you very much for being here. Pleasure. Mr. Ziam Ran, who is founder and director of Jugnu Media. Jugnu Media is a company which has done this Daddu application. He's also the ex-chairman of Pakistan Software Houses Association. He's also the ex-managing director of Pakistan Software Export Board. On my left, Ms. Jahan Ara, who is the president of Pakistan Software Houses Association. So thank you, Jahan, for being here. And last but not least, Mr. Afaq Riaz Ahmed, who is the founder and director of Karachi Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship. Afaq, thank you very much for being here. Afaq, I'd like to start with you, because I just mentioned that there was this tremendous growth in IT institutions, and then we saw that it disappeared. And now you've got Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship. Is there a demand, and is there a market for young IT professionals in Pakistan? Is it a dying breed, or is it a growing?
IT is first of all, IT is a very big and diverse field. There are several aspects of IT. One is, let's say, PC support. One is, let's say, networking.
Sure.
One is, other telecom stuff. And the core, the heart of IT, in my mind, is computer science, is the software industry. And in our institute, we're going to focus on that part, which is the most value-added, most exportable skill set. According to Rosie.pk, which is the largest online job portal, there are approximately 1,000 total computer science and software jobs open as of this now in Pakistan. So yes, you have millions of jobs in the US and all over the world, but by itself in Pakistan, you have 1,000 open positions which the software industry cannot fulfill. So the demand is clearly there. You just don't have the people to fill that gap.
So you have an HR vacuum, sort of?
Serious vacuum. It's not a small vacuum. It's a serious vacuum. On an average, if I were to advertise in my company that, I have a sales and marketing positions open, right? So I'll probably get 500 resumes. If I were to do that for a software engineer, I'll get 5 resumes, and maybe one is worthwhile that I can hire. So, I mean, the problem set is very acute. They are probably one of the highest paid professionals in Pakistan. The salary growth is one of the highest in Pakistan and the world. They get the maximum, the best immigration opportunities. You look at a software person from any perspective, from immigration, from portability of skill set, from job security, from salaries, anything. It's by far, probably in my mind, is probably the toughest and the most resilient profession.
Yet we don't.
We have 1,000 positions open. I just don't get it.
Jahara, your comment on that?
Well,
I mean, it makes money. It gets you everywhere. It's hot. It's not sexy enough. What's wrong with it?
Well, yes. If you talk to Yusuf Jan, he'll say it's not portrayed as being sexy enough. But on the one side, the software industry, and that's all of us, keep saying we don't get enough people whenever we advertise. Actually, when I advertise, or when some of the companies here advertise, they get hundreds of applications. It's just that the quality of the person who's applying is not the kind of person that companies are looking to hire. And then on the flip side, you have youngsters who are saying, look, we have a computer science degree and there are no jobs in the IT industry. So it's the quality of people coming out of universities. Not all of them are weak. There's some very good kids coming out of university. But I think that there is a disconnect between what the universities are producing and what the industries require.
But you know what? We talked about this 6 years ago. About this disconnect.
Yes.
I remember Yusuf Jan commenting about it. Myself commenting about it. Why have we not bridged that gap? Because I still feel that the field of IT and software development in particular can really be a game changer. And why haven't we been able to expand on that? Why still disconnect?
Well,
whose fault? Industry's fault or the university's fault?
Both, probably. I think we can't put it all onto the universities. Okay. Many of us try and interact with the universities. Some of us actually go and teach there. But I think there is a disconnect because some universities are not wanting to change. There's a problem with much of the faculty who have never worked in industry. So the kind of things they're teaching kids is very theoretical.
Not exactly what the industry is demanding.
Not exactly what the industry is demanding. There are some areas that are extremely weak, and that's what the industry complains about, the database skills, analytical skills. These are sadly missing, problem-solving skills, because people are not just looking for coders, they're looking for value-added resources who can sort of think on their feet, and I think that's what's missing.
Yet, we are producing things like the Dadu. Yes. What brought you to produce Dadu? Well, I get a smile every time I say Dadu. Well, I guess it's Mendak. Why Dadu?
Well, I think it is because we wanted people to own it. I mean, Dadu is something that actually is based on a nursery rhyme, O Baba Dadua, which grandmothers used to sing to their little ones. And I think, just to give you a perspective, the reason we did this was that I've been in outsourcing industry myself. I have been at PSCB. I have been part of Pasha. And I think a lot of what we do has been focused at serving other people outside Pakistan. And when we look at, for example, content, which is becoming very, very important these days, you look at content and there's not enough good content which is locally relevant to us, both in terms of language, both in terms of our tradition, both in terms of the characters that are out there. I have little children myself, and when I would go out and look for content, I would go and download it from DuckDuckMoose or Toka Boka, which are some of the premier publishers on the App Store. And we said, why can't we actually create something which is as good and as high quality as these publishers, and it is actually done for the Pakistani audience.
Let's take a short break. We'll continue the discussion right here. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're watching Perspectives. We're talking about the innovation in information technology in Pakistan. We're talking about an application called Dadu, done by a company called Jugnu Media, and the CEO and founder of this company, Mr. Zia Imran, is here. Imran, tell us about this app. I'm going to actually play a bit of it here. It's educational, it's entertaining. What's the age bracket?
No thanks.
Oh, I don't want to rate it.
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's what happens when you try to do this on television. It's an app which is based on the nursery rhyme, as you were saying,
Exactly.
and it's engaging, entertaining. The reason I'm really excited about this is I have tested baby TV on a lot of young children, and it is very, very involving, and there's a science to it, and keeps kids involved.
Right.
So this is targeted to what age bracket?
This is for toddlers, and if you look at the way toddlers are, they like to see bigger things. Their fitness level is not that high, so they only want to tap on things, and in response they want to see something happening. So we used that. We did a little bit of analysis. We actually took a whole bunch of kids. We went to a pediatrician's office, literally, and we made some prototypes, and then we tested it on kids which were 1 to 4 years old, and saw what would actually work for that age group.
So a bit of science went into it.
Absolutely.
This is not just your random development slapped at people. I'd like to show some more of it. This is this Daddu, the frog, which is interacting with you. Can we just show this here, please? And I'm going to put the volume on. Interesting. Okay, if I go forward from this is free right now, right?
This is free right now, exactly.
And only on Apple?
Actually, we just released it on Google Play, and you can go on any of the 2 stores and type in DUDDO, and you'll be able to
Daddu will show up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I know
a cute little Daddu.
I know you personally that you probably had the resources to develop and deploy this.
Sure.
But you said there are a lot of young people who are innovating, but they don't have the resource. Tell us what you guys are doing with the incubation fund. What is that about, and how are you helping new entrepreneurs?
Well, you mean the plug-and-play facilities?
Yeah.
That why don't we just let Faisal,
Please, Faisal,
give
tell
us
us
a summary
about
of the plug-and-play.
So it started last year. I went on a fellowship called Eisenhower Fellowship, and my subject of study was to study the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the U.S. from an IT perspective, on what makes U.S. what it is today in terms of entrepreneurship. So every second dollar that's invested in the IT space is invested in the U.S. So it's 50% of the IT investments take place in the U.S. So we went around 19 different cities in the U.S., very small places like Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Silicon Valley and Boston and New York. And one thing which was common across all of these 19 centers was that there were community spaces where the community could come together in a single location for events, for co-working, to get mentorship, to run accelerator programs where they'll be put into hardcore 3-month startup mode and things like that. So when I returned from the fellowship in November last year, we started working on a financial model that what if we had to start this plug-and-play center in Karachi, where anybody who wanted to start a new company in the space of IT could come there, start working from that facility, and have guaranteed working space, mentorship, access to potential angel investors like Yusuf Jan. That location or that place should have event space so that we could do a weekly event on around the IT ecosystem and so on and so forth. So when we worked out the financial model, we worked out the kinks, and now we are in the process of setting it up. It should launch by the end of June, and what it would allow people who want to start companies, who have started companies but sort of doing it from their own bedroom, who don't have access to the financial capital, who don't have access to a lot of engineering talent, who don't have access to mentors, access to markets from a sales and marketing perspective, or generally a shoulder to cry on. They can now have a central location in Karachi where they can come and do all of this stuff as if they were running their own office, but don't have the headache of running their own offices, have access to 5 to 10 different CEOs who will have actual on-resident positions there, have access to a couple of events that will take place inshallah every week related to that space.
What sort of money do you have available to you, if I may ask? What's the size of this fund?
So the setup cost is $150,000 US, and we are close to raising $100,000 now. and we have a gap of $50,000. So we are still looking to raise the remaining $50,000. But we have started work on that facility, and the bigger contributors have sort of pledged that in case we are not able to bridge that gap, we will dig into our own pocket and bridge the
So you're pretty much
remaining gap.
underwritten. So you pretty much your initial cost is underwritten.
Yeah.
You've got guarantee on that.
Yeah.
Yusuf, you've also been involved with this.
Yes, I am.
So tell us what's your perspective, and then I'd like you to also tell us about what you're doing in Mixit now that Mixit has come up full cycle.
With Mixit, very briefly, I'm helping Mixit and its team transition to the new group, which is a much larger group, Ion Trading, about 2,500 people worldwide. A very, very strong group with teams in Italy, in India, in Brussels, US, Pakistan, and all that. So it's basically post-transaction, working with the teams across the group and helping Mixit teams work with them. Going back to the plug-and-play facility, I believe that I've been involved with the IT scene over the last decade, and I've seen a lot of very well-meaning individuals and groups working at it, trying to get the Pakistan IT industry scene to the next level. I believe after looking back at the whole decade, I see things coming together finally, and so this is one of the initiatives where people, and I'm very glad because part of the board, of this plug and play. So Faisal is there, two other, basically it's 4 of us, 3 young, I would call them the next generation leaders in the stars, stepped up and put their money where their mouth is, and also devoted their time and their resources into this. I see them bringing what we and many others wanted to do over the last 10 years. Finally, some of the individuals are banding together and doing it.
So the old guard didn't do so well.
So the old guard, I think, did also, was well-meaning and did contribute. And because of all of that, the last decade of the old guard and the young guard working together, I really feel that Pakistan IT has come full circle, and it is there where it should be. And I only see that the next 4-5 years, we will probably, the world will see some real rock stars coming out of the Pakistan IT scene.
Okay, I want to build on that. What Afaq said earlier. Pakistan has no shortage of smart, brilliant individuals. We have created rock stars in the field of IT, but we export them all. Whatever rock stars we produce now, we also end up exporting them, unfortunately. Fortunately for them, unfortunately for the industry. This whole wish that we would really make it happen, it's been there for 10, 12 odd years, but we are a very, very young industry. But going forward, I would like to open to all of you this question. How do you feel we'd be able to, you can produce good kids, that's fine. And you did mention it's a great immigration opportunity. I just sort of bit my piece there for a second. Why is an immigration opportunity? Why isn't that a retention opportunity? Why do we not retain these fantastic, brilliant kids and build an industry here? I want this question to be open to all of you, and we have 3 past heads of the IT industry, so please comment.
I think the world is a very globalized space, and it's a very connected space. You have to run your country like a multinational, and you have to compete with other multinational companies. If you can't do it, if you don't do it effectively, your employees are getting stolen. Your citizens will get stolen. It's as simple as that. So the earlier we recognize this fact, the better and faster we're going to get our house in order. So my entire thinking is that yes, we can always create these 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 rock stars, and that's fine, and that will give us the media coverage and things like that. But really what we really need to do, we need to create people in thousands. So even if 50% immigrate, it really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, even if they do immigrate, they're still Pakistanis, like all of us. They do send money back to Pakistan, so it's okay. You know, I don't mind if I train 10,000 people and 5,000 emigrate. I think it's okay. But you know what? If those 5,000 stay back, they will add a lot of stuff. Or if the situation of the country improves, a lot of these guys will come back too. So
even if I agree with what you've said, though this is not a discussion, so I'm going to let that one slip.
Yeah.
Even if I agree with, but that still does not solve the problem of the IT industry. But tonight I'm going to focus on the IT industry. I do not see, unfortunately, that growth happening if we just say, if situation changes, if this happens, if that happens, then we will retain. Then
my answer is very simple. I think the problem is on the supply side. I think fundamentally, I believe that we need thousands and thousands of software professionals to power the IT industry in Pakistan. Hands down, I mean, I don't even have any, no doubts about it.
I agree with what Afaq is saying. I think there's no harm in people leaving the country, because this is how the Indian IT industry grew. It was lots of Indians working in Silicon Valley.
That's not even the debate tonight.
No, so I wouldn't mind if kids had an opportunity outside and they went. I think we need to grow the numbers, and to grow the numbers, we need to make IT sexy. We need to make people understand, young people. We've got a huge pool of young people, very smart people, who go into other disciplines. We want them to come into the IT sector.
Was sexy about 7-8 years ago, and then suddenly Masscom became sexy. And
so a few things, right? It takes a lot less human resource these days to be innovative than it used to just 10 years ago, right? A company like Mixit or a platform like Mixit took 50 people to write. An application like Daddu, one really good artist and one really good engineer can actually write this app today.
Sure.
So you need a lot less HR today. So I would agree with them that there is no harm in people leaving. It's not that they graduate and they leave right away. They do need 2, 3, 5 years of solid experience in the local industry before they get opportunities outside. So if you can tap into that pool at that time,
worse actually. But John has understood where I'm going. By the time they're worth something, they're out.
No, they are worth. I think within 3 to 6 months they are worth something. Second example.
Some very bright kids.
3 of the board.
We have brilliant kids.
Yeah, very brilliant.
3 of the 4 board members of this plug and play at the moment are all people who had successful careers in the US and then moved back. So Atif Azim sold his company to Cisco, moved to Pakistan. Imran Moinuddin was having a fantastic career in the bio security space, moved back to Karachi. I had 3 years of experience in the financial industry, including anti-money laundering.
Sure.
I moved back to Pakistan. So and when we move back to Pakistan, we have enough talent that we can work with these engineers with 0 to 5 years of experience and produce applications like that. So I'm not concerned that. I think the numbers the immigration will continue. You can't freeze that, right? So the bigger numbers that we produce, the bigger numbers will stay in Pakistan and hence. So efforts like Kite.
I think my point got confused. I have nothing against people going. They're good luck.
Right.
That's fine. But when we talk about things are going to happen in the software industry, like Yusuf Jan just said, I question that, because we will continue to have that scarcity of HR, which is crucial. I know NetSol basically started producing their own people for their own consumption with their own massive institute.
Several companies
have done that. But
I think at the level, we need to be interacting with school kids when they are about to choose
their careers.
The field because they're not getting career counseling, so they don't know that there are very exciting and challenging careers in computer science. That's where we need to step up.
Let me give you a small little statistic. You know, at one of the top premier engineering and sciences university in Karachi, and you know which name that is, computer science has the lowest entrance merit.
Yeah.
Like 20th, 25th.
Lowest entrance merit.
Yeah, because that means the incoming students only choose computer science if they are pushed in that direction. So they would choose telecom, they would choose electrical, they would choose all the other majors. Computer science will come the last. And when you ask those kids, why have you chosen others, and why are you trashing this computer science? Because they say, no jobs. We can't get any jobs. Computer science doesn't have any jobs. It doesn't have any career. You can't do this. You can't do that. I think that we as a nation, we have too many stereotypes, and we get stuck with those stereotypes for way too long. The problem has been fixed.
My take on all this is that we just need to become a lot more efficient than we are, and I think
Efficient in terms of our production.
well, in terms of allocating resources. I mean,
Okay.
if you talk more like an economist, I think my perspective is the following, and I totally agree with what Afaq said. That's exactly the same symptom that you see at UET, or University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore, which I'm a proud graduate of. And then the highest merit is electrical engineer. This year the graduating class was 300 people. 200 of them still haven't found jobs 6 months after
We hardly
graduation.
have electricity. What will we do with electrical engineering?
Right.
I'm an electrical engineer sitting on television.
Exactly. So my point is that one thing that and this is not only an issue with IT industry. In Pakistan, I think one of the fundamental problem is that we are not good at connecting the dots. We don't collect a lot of data. I mean, if you look at any mature economy, what they do is they have all sorts of data. Okay, what is the average salary for an electrical engineer? What is the average salary of a computer science? What is the trend? What is the 5-year trend of hiring in a particular industry? I mean, for example, if you talk about US, there is a full-blown Bureau of Labor Statistics, and if you go on their website, I mean, there's such a wealth of data available. And I think someone or a group of people in this country need to collect a lot of data, analyze it, and publish it for the consumption. I mean, if I can borrow a term from economics, there are not enough signaling mechanisms. Okay, for example,
We have no projections.
Exactly. 3 years ago, suddenly there was telecom boom. So every smart kid in the country wanted to become a telecom engineer. And now there's a telecom bust, and all those engineers don't have a job. And of course, some of them probably will get retrained at KITE, which is a good thing. But I think we need systematic, very systematic approach to collecting data and analyzing it and
but
finding.
unfortunately, that's not happening tomorrow morning.
So what?
I need to take a very short break. We'll just hold your thoughts. Let's take a short break. We'll continue the discussion right here. Please stay with us. Staying with us, you're watching Perspectives. We're talking about the innovations in the field of IT in Pakistan. There are problems, there are shortcomings, there are hurdles, but yet a lot of great work is being done. We can forever argue about why we're not doing what we could do. Fine, we'll get there. But let's focus on what we are doing and what are our plans. But before I took a break, you were going to add to the discussion about where we're missing out.
One of the things that I did. As soon as I founded Karachi Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship, I collected all of the data, all the things that we have talked about, all the things that we know about the software industry, and we made an RSA animated video about it. So we have a 5-minute video, both in English and in Urdu, which talks about all the relevant aspects of the computer science industry, including the salary graphs, including the open positions, including what needs to be done. I mean, all the stuff that we have just talked about,
It's there.
we've already incorporated in a 5-minute animated video.
Yet it's not becoming sexy.
No. Well, we just produced it, so we've started putting it on Vimeo. But
Why? Why is this industry lacking that charm, that glamour?
Well, it's not. I mean, my take on the IT industry and on the local scene maybe somewhat wishful, but it's a whole different way of looking at it. I believe that, unfortunately, we have as our neighbor India, the largest, one of the largest players of IT, and so we naturally tend to start comparing ourselves and our progress with India. India's got scale, we don't. India's got a 30-year head start in this field on us, we don't. However, we've done well. And the way I look at it, I look at the IT scene in Pakistan and India is very similar to the music scene in Pakistan and India. They have scale in terms of they have a playback singers that have sung 40,000 songs. We have the Atif Aslams or the Strings or the Janoons, who are 1 or 2 or 3% teams, bands that come up with something really creative, and the world looks at them, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, the IT scenes of the two countries are mirroring
And there's no
their
need
music
to
scene.
compare.
Right.
No,
They've
So we
got their
don't
own
need to
dynamics.
compare.
They have their dynamics.
Yes.
We have our dynamics.
We, I feel, and I have, met my colleagues across the border. They also feel that we seem to have, as a nation, a natural tendency to be more product-based, and to have product-based teams or to have product-based entrepreneurs. India has scale. They'll go for the BPO. They've got 250,000 companies, employee companies. We might have, so what I'm hoping for is that our tendency so far has been to come up with very good product-based teams. And I think the world, is that's where we will make a name for ourselves.
And I think you just stopped short of saying, and the world has. I think the world has recognized that. There are companies which have done well, and they're product-based,
So
small team companies.
we've taken companies and products to the Asia Pacific where they've
Award-winning?
where they've benchmarked their products against the best in the region, whole of Asia Pacific, which includes Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore. People that we consider giants in technology,
Sure.
and we've come back with 5, 7 awards. So I don't think we should shortchange ourselves. Recently I was in India, and there was a discussion regarding what's the difference between Pakistan and India in terms of IT. And this is exactly what I told them, that we've got product companies. One guy that we took from Lahore to Mumbai, he found a collaborator there who said, you've built a product for the SME sector, SME retail sector, which would sell amazingly well in India, simply because it is exactly what we need. Our markets are very similar. It's just the scale that's different, and it's priced right. And you've had 1,000 implementations, which means the product works.
It works, yeah.
And so we've done that in very different types of industries. So in the financial sector, in the security, if we talk about gaming, there's the best cricket game that ICC selected as being the top game for the last World Cup. So we shouldn't undermine the kind of work that's being done here.
Also, on the mobile platform where it takes fewer resources to do innovation, on the iOS platform, on the Android platform, on the BlackBerry platform, on the internet, Pakistani products have consistently reached top 10 in the world.
But we need less people, as Faisal was pointing out. We need less people to produce products. So you will see that
So maybe we should not be chasing that
we
scale.
should not be chasing
That's
that
not
scale.
us.
No, that's not us.
That's what I'm trying to exactly point out.
Yeah.
And that's probably bad chase, because maybe we missed that bandwagon. So, and also, why bother with it?
And it's not how the next generation technology, will happen.
No, and
It will happen more.
Even the service
Right,
and
right.
consulting companies that we have are top notch, but they don't need to be 100,000 people.
Sure. But unfortunately, just a side note, it does not create so many jobs, which is we can't become an industrial scale.
So we have to correct that. Even for India, where the India Shining and the IT industry is hyped so much, the total amount of labor that the IT industry hires directly is less than 3 million. What that means for the country size of India is that total new jobs that India needs to produce to keep its unemployment rate stable is 3 million per month.
Sure.
So the IT industry in 30 years has produced 3 million jobs, which actually India needs to produce every month. So it's not a scale, even in a country like India, even though we feel it's a scale thing, for India it's a drop in the bucket. So IT industry has never done scale even for a country like India, and we are not comparing ourselves, so we are okay.
But the advantage is that now IT is a part of every industry. So computer scientists are needed by every industry, and by government, and by education. So
and by artists and musicians.
Yes, and artists and
You have to you have to keep in mind and recognize the fact that over this same last decade, there are a few other industries that have flourished. Media is one of them. Event management is one of them.
Well, that's part of a growing
CSR is
economy.
one of them. So
As
again,
more surplus income.
Right. So we have the brightest people. They could be in technology also, but choosing to go into media or go into events and stuff like that.
And one of the things that people
Yourself
don't
is an example.
Yes.
Right.
And
I was looking at you funny.
one of the things that people don't understand is that the IT industry doesn't need only computer scientists. we
Sure.
need graphic designers,
Right.
we need sound people,
We need writers.
we need analysts, we
Yes,
need
content
content
writers.
writers, we need also.
I think if I'm not wrong, what Afaq was pointing out, and that also it's in my heart, that computer software programmers can be a huge industry,
Yeah.
and we're missing on that, and that just hurts.
Yes.
I can see it in your face. That just
Yep.
hurts, because we could really amplify that, and we may be missing on that. You've got a lot of stuff in your hand. What are you planning?
Well, I'm just too passionate about local content, and I think if you look at historically, people ask me, why are you doing this Urdu content, and you talk about regional language content, and I said, look, what troubles me is that when I was growing up, I was brought up on Umru Ayar and Dastan-e Amir Hamza, and the Zambil was the greatest thing you could imagine.
And the
But-
Kambal.
Absolutely, but when you talk to my kids, I mean, they know more about Dumbledore and those characters than Dastan-e Amir Hamza is
being lost.
No,
Yeah.
lost. And I have a book here. This is Ibn Safi, and I'm sure some of us remember. We're old enough to enjoy. No, this is
In the Imran series, and we have-
exactly. I mean, just imagine how how powerful that was, and it's not to be found electronically anywhere. I mean, that's a pity.
You're right. That I actually went back to Firozan's looking for Dastan Amir Hamza, and the seller looked at me very strangely.
Exactly.
And he said, it took me to this dark, dingy corner, that big Firozan's in Lahore.
Exactly.
And somewhere hidden there was, and there were like 10 parts, 10 volumes to it, and he had like 8. And the other 2 said, well, we don't print that. So yeah, you're right. That's been completely lost.
Absolutely.
For no reason. So you're planning digitizing all of
Exactly.
this?
So what our plan is that at some point, we targeted the toddlers, and then we would move from there to the rest of the children area, because that's something that excites us, just because we have children and we they're cuddly and we play with them, and then we want to give them what we are building in case of Dadu and Thobi is what we call a digital toy. Because you give it to a child, and just like a toy would keep a child busy, a toy would keep a child busy for about 10 minutes. This would also keep a child busy. I mean, this is a new
And out of
age.
your hair.
Exactly. But eventually the goal is to move in that direction, where a lot of different kind of content,
So the
needs to
Hamidi
be-
and the Afidi and the Ibn Safi
Absolutely,
and the Imran will
absolutely
show
Yeah,
up one day.
Right, exactly. And there's some copyright issues and things like that, but we need to work it out. And I think there's a huge opportunity. And I think one of the things that's holding us back in this country is not being able to do the 3G implementation in this country, because I think once that is done, then, because you can make the content, but you have to push it to people also, right? So people need to be able to see it on their devices. They have to be able to install it, and you have 60% of your population living in the rural areas. And
I think we'll skip 3G. We'll just go to the big Wi-Fi thing.
yeah, you put 4G and LTE and all
Yeah.
that.
No, just big Wi-Fi. We'll just do the big 3G. It's a waste.
Absolutely.
We've obviously not chased 3G. It's such a waste of time. Why bother with it? Yusuf, what's next? What do you think in the coming years? Where do you see it practically going? Not what you and I wish or what Jahan wishes, but what's practically happening? Where should young kids? I want you to talk to young kids, fresh graduates or people who are thinking about taking IT as an opportunity. What is the industry expecting from them, and what are the opportunities? I'd like all of you to please comment on that.
Well, the opportunities are, phenomenal. It's a very small world. It's shrunk to your laptop or your, iPad. So the opportunities are great. I think we need to do a stronger and a better job in creating the awareness of what sort of opportunities are there in these fields, in the field of technology, in the field of digital media and all of that. So, there is, there's a lot of talk at a very high level, and there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of drilled down information that people just don't know. And I think the industry now needs to sort of has one of their tasks should be to creating that
But
awareness.
that's serious. What they need to do right now, right here. What would you advise people who are watching you, parents who are thinking, should my child go into information technology? What would be your advice? I'm ask all of you this question. Please go on.
Well, one of the things I think we need to look at is that if you look at generally the IT scene and the computer science, it comes in waves. I mean, the last wave before the current wave is everything is going mobile.
Sure.
and you have this, for example, if your company doesn't have an app strategy, we don't even call it software anymore. You have to have an app now, right? Just like in 1996 when Netscape browser came out, everybody had to have a website.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you were not considered to be a forward-looking company. So I think there's a huge opportunity right now, because I think, as I said, every 7 to 10 years this industry transforms itself, and right now we are going through that transformation. And when that transformation happens, that is the right time to catch the wave and really build an industry.
Do you think the mobile app space is saturating, or it's just beginning?
Oh, I think it's beginning. I mean, just look at what I talked about, the local content in Pakistan. I mean, just imagine once you are able to push content at high speeds to your population. I mean, this is 180 million people, and virtually there is no local content industry in this country.
Well, when you say Urdu content, let's not forget India. It's not 180 million. We got to throw the billion in there as well.
Absolutely.
Pakistanis and
Absolutely.
Well, let's take the whole subcontinent population is over 1 billion. So that's a fantastic footprint.
And if you really look at it, in Pakistan, we still have got it exactly the other way around. I mean, if you look at US and other maturing markets, there the content companies actually buy telcos, right? Here it's the other way around. The telcos are very big, but the content companies are very small, like us. And I think it has to happen in this country also. The content needs to become big and get to the level where it's as big as the telecom industry itself.
What kind of people would you be looking for in your incubator? Please go on.
Just to finish this thought
yes.
off, other than content, you need devices and you need payment mechanisms, right? So the
Oh
content.
God, that is a whole.
That's not even.
Please go ahead.
So
That's
I think on
a
the
huge vacuum.
So on the devices front, I think operating systems like Android and then cheaper Chinese handsets are solving that problem to some extent. People are, instead of buying laptops for their home, people are buying their mother's 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 rupee cheaper Android tablet, but you can consume content equally well there. 3G would help in the speed of content. I think in the payment space, a huge boom is already happening, right? With Easy Paisa and UBL, Omni, and MCB. Huge change has already come. A lot of people, like my grandmother, would now very comfortably pay her electricity bills using an Easy Paisa service, and millions of transactions are taking place every day. The exact numbers are we don't know, but there are millions of transactions.
And I know there's a lot more.
And this is
a lot more coming in.
It's only been 3 years. There is no interconnection. UBL mobile payment customer cannot pay an Easy Paisa, so that all interconnection will happen just like it happened with OneLink and Mnet a few years ago. So I think the payments scene will also improve tremendously in the next 3 years. It has already come a long way in the past 3 years as well. So you have content, you have devices, and you have payments all coming together at the right time.
But we're talking technology, and my advice to the parents, to the guardians, to the elders, to the peers would be, we need our young generation and our next generation. We need them to be very well-rounded and very global individuals, right? So
not just technically, but personality.
We need the best painters, we need the best artists, we need the best dancers, we need the best engineers. You have to be very, very worldly. You have to have very open minds. So my advice to the parents would be to raise kids that have very open minds, who can dream the wildest dreams.
They have to have the right attitude.
You have to dream the wildest dreams and be able to imagine something way out there. And that's the generation we need. It's not just about technology. They could be writers, they could be artists, they could be basket weavers, but they need to be very, very global in their thinking. And
I would like to add here that this is a field which is very attractive for young women, and we just don't have enough women working in the technology space. We have, at the recent study that we did on women in technology, we have 14% of the workforce in the IT industry is women, and it should be far greater. Computer science is, the IT industry is just the best industry. Safe working spaces,
you can work from
flexible
home,
work
you can innovate, you can do all kinds of stuff.
And there is nothing that says women are not as smart as men. Most of them are smarter than men, actually.
Well, in this show,
see the balance. It takes one of me and 5 of you to balance it out.
With you, we need 500 of these to balance. But on this show, we have repeatedly proven that women are smarter.
to balance it out, that the same challenge is actually worldwide. So 14% in a global perspective is still, we are doing well, because
But it's an opportunity.
even in the US it's below 20%.
I know that.
So,
I know that. But
so it's a global trend. It's not just a local.
But this discussion is happening all around the
Right.
world, and I think our girls should know.
But there's also this associated field. See, it's not just programming.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
graphics. There's
Project
a lot of creative
management,
work.
there's
Exactly. A lot of creative.
user experience.
So
Extremely important.
so one of the things that we're trying to do at Kite, it's not just a computer science institute. We'll also be teaching economics and political science. What I see for Pakistanis is, in order to be they have to be, first of all, well-rounded citizens. They should know a lot about Pakistan, but they also should know about the world, because we are very much interconnected with the world. We can't stay divorced from the rest of the world. And I think that no matter what field you choose, whether you want to be an anthropologist, whether you want to be an economist, whether you want to work for the State Bank of Pakistan, you absolutely have to be tech savvy. I mean,
Absolutely.
how can you have a statistician or an economist who cannot make mathematical models and figure out what's happening with the economy and make decisions accordingly? You absolutely need tech savvy economists. You need tech savvy journalists, so that they can do digital marketing. They can make their work known.
There's just no
You
short. There's just no
can't-
end to it.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you very
I think you need many more women starting IT companies.
For sure.
Not just working in
Agreed.
IT companies.
I everybody on that one.
Thank you very much, all of you, for taking time out. My parting comment very quickly would be, and it's really important, every other field, almost every other field, mass comm, MBAs, they eventually saturate. Medicine, there'll always be need for doctors. Engineers, there'll always be need for them. Lawyers, always be need for them. But IT, and in particular, something to do with computers, software, art, creativity, development, is one of those skills which just keeps growing, evolving, and I do not see it dying out for the next 50 years. I am an electrical engineer. I'm just quoting my personal example only as an example. I was studying electrical engineering, got interested in, I had this little Casio handheld thing which I could program one line in BASIC, and that got me interested. And then from there, it was a Commodore 64, and then a PC XT, and then the Zenith weird green LED screens. Went through all of that. My first exposure to programming languages, BASIC, Fortran, Pascal, and today whatever not. What I'm saying is, if you come into this line of work, if you come into this expertise or skill, there's just no end. It keeps evolving, it keeps growing, and keeps creating new demands constantly. So if you take this on as a career, 50, 60 years, you're pretty much taken care of. You will have a job. And these are clean jobs, good jobs, desk jobs. You can work from your bedrooms and your garages. Billionaires in this field started in their garages. So that's something to be said about this field. I would request parents and young people who are getting into universities today, don't ignore it. All the other fields, great, the great careers, but this is the lasting career. Parting note, electrical engineer, media, anchor, but guess where I really pay my bills from? It's a software company. Until next time, good night.